Well, nice to have all of you on here tonight. I know it's a little bit later, but I just wanted to make sure that we really engaged with our community tonight, because this is a very serious portion of our Core 4 survival program. So everybody knows, or many of you know, because you've been kind of following us, that Sounds of Autism has 4 phases of our program. We now have 16 programs under our umbrella. And our first phase consists of 4 different topics that we focus on, and crisis intervention is really our passion and the reason that we're doing this. We want to make sure that we take this vulnerable population and we surround them with support and trust and all of those things that they need, because at many times they can't do that on their own, and it just it's very difficult for families. So this is our Responders Unite community portion of our presentation, and then our Responders Unite also has a police training, and we have an at-risk population training. So there's 3 different communities that we really bridge the gaps on. It takes a community to raise an at-risk child, especially living with autism. I'd like to share this video, and I'm hoping that it works, that you can hear it. So please let me know, Bernadette, if you don't mind, if you can hear the volume on this. No.
Cricket, if you pause it and you go to your volume setting, there's and you click on the arrow up, you actually can
living with autism fear that society, especially our first responders.
I'm gonna start it over.
Many parents of at-risk children who are delayed and struggle to process information quickly, especially those living with autism, fear that society, especially our first responders, are not ready to respond to this population, especially during crisis.
The more exposure we can get anyone, the more we can prepare them for when situations happen, or if they could happen.
Kevin and I are still learning every day about Landon and his autism. Our son is now 18 years old. Integrating Landon into society has become more concerning because he looks like an adult, but his abilities are not that of an adult at this time. We must catch up to typical kids his age, and no one can see that or know that Landon's delayed and struggles to process information unless we start to educate the world.
When our community understands that, it's so much better for our family members to be able to go out in society and not feel being looked at as something wrong with them. That somebody can communicate with them, somebody can interact, and do those things.
We wanted to make the Responders Unite videos as natural as possible so we can show that autism during a crisis intervention exhibits stress and anxiety, and we didn't want to trigger the kids that were helping us film. So we didn't prompt anybody about what we were going to film. We just basically told the officers, we're going to have a scenario for you 4 different times, and then we told the kids, you have a scenario that you have to listen to the police officers and take their commands and do what they say. And when we did these, especially when we got to the high-risk last scenario stop, and we asked the officers to take the bullets out of their guns and use their real guns to pretend like they're responding to a high-risk stop, these officers became very stressed out. And the kids didn't understand why they were stressed out. And one of the officers basically explained that the first thing that we learn when we get our guns in the academy is that gun safety is priority, and that you never point a gun, even if it's not loaded, at anybody. And so when you're telling the officers to do something that they've been training their muscles in their brains not to do, and then all of a sudden they're doing it, that stress became very apparent.
It was important to me that we did this right, that it was going to be received well. Police department gets chastised a lot, and officers really put it under a fine microscope. So I wanted to make sure that this is going to be done something was done right and going to be well received by the public and the audience, and how it's going to be presented.
In trainings, we use simulated guns even with officers, so pointing a real firearm to make it realistic was very nerve-wracking for me.
I wanted the kids to not be made afraid, right? We know that we're training, and we explain to them that we're training, but I don't want it to be an issue where we make them afraid of the police officer.
So parents don't want to label their kids. They don't want to have a stigma. They don't want to, put them out there as an at-risk population. But in this scenario, we wanted to say I am a responder of autism because we felt like it would be the best way to inform the officers that this person they're dealing with has some type of disability. And I am a responder of autism triggers the officer to remember that when you are dealing with autism, there could be potentially a delay in processing, which means you need to slow down the commands. The commands need to be one step at a time. And we really want to make sure that everybody works together in a slow pace and that every response or command that's being done is a literal, command, because these kids, that's how they think. And that's how, in adults, this is how they think. And this is the way they respond.
Getting the kids more exposure to police officers, getting them exposure to just simple traffic stops when it could be something that can cause an issue. Having them get exposure to us would be beneficial.
We educate once a month and we teach the at-risk population or the first responders about each other, but we also teach the community about what we're teaching the at-risk populations and the responders as well. Everyone has to understand the plan or it will never execute correctly. Our community may be the one calling 911 and misinterpreting the signs for a kid.
Oh, no. I'm so sorry.
On drugs or alcohol. We then teach the first responders exclusively about the at-risk population and the things they need to know, as well as give when they deliver the curriculum. They will need to teach the at-risk population in classroom settings throughout their city and ensure that these kids are learning these things. First responders present the curriculum to all the at-risk populations within their city, especially autism. And then those first presentation is the beginning stage of introducing the at-risk population to our first responders. And our first responders to get the hands-on, boots on the ground experience working with the at-risk population. This is the beginning of a relationship we hope to build from kindergarten all the way until adult life. Now when the officers and at-risk populations encounter one another on the streets or in high-risk situations, there's a different understanding, and this is not the first time each of these populations are meeting each other for the first time. And we feel that will lead to a more de-escalated response.
It was a huge eye-opener for me, and now that I have trained with that, experienced that, I'll be more quickly able to recognize that, okay, my instructions aren't being processed, so let's go a different route, go a different way.
I'm glad that I did this because I as well hope that us going through this is going to help other kids out there and officers out there with autism. That will help all of us.
So I wanted to take a moment and recognize my husband, Kevin Karate. He helped me create the program, Responders Unite. He's a Phoenix police officer. He's been on 12 years. Jamie Reddy from DDD, she worked with me and just has been really supportive with the agency and surrounding us with people that really can benefit from this program. And Sinaida Larson from Luke Air Force Base, she was able to get us training on Luke Air Force Base. So this week we did 2 of the 4 security forces police training sessions. And when we were doing that, one of the people that were attending realized at 33 years old that he definitely had autism. And a mom realized that her son wasn't just ADHD, that he was showing signs of autism as well. And this happens to us every time we do presentations. But again, 2 people in the military have a lot of support around them that, and government benefits and things like that, where they have the opportunity to use those resources. And even with that, still don't have enough resources to tell them that these are the things that they're seeing. So we definitely need to bring a voice. And that's what we're really trying to do with all of our programs. I'm Cricket Barrientos. I'm the founder of Sounds of Autism. I started this in 2011, and I really just for the last 10 years, just finding people that really are like-minded and want to help support this community and work with us. For the last 10 years, we've been building this. We have not taken a salary. We put all the money towards this initiative, and this is the first year that we're actually going out and asking for funding. And to be honest, we're not even asking. We're going in and sharing our program with city municipalities and immediately they're offering us funding because they want this to be in their city. So out of the 12 cities in the West Valley of Arizona right now, 7 of them are confirmed that they will be working with us or have meetings with us to learn more about us. So we're 5 to go. We're way ahead of schedule, and we're super excited. And we just found out that we'll be also doing this in the East Valley virtually. So that's coming out there as well. This is my husband, Kevin, and my son, Landon. Landon was afraid of police cars. And so my husband asked him if he wanted to take a ride along, and he said, absolutely not. But he was definitely willing to do a park along. So this is in a parking space, and Landon got to get in and just really overcome the sensory issues that he had in the police car, and really felt comfortable because my husband was there to support him. So this was a great experience for Landon, and it really started teaching him that he doesn't have to be afraid of the police. I'd like to introduce all of you to Jessica Nunez, a mom of autism. Jessica became my friend 1.5 years ago. I'm sorry. Tonight, she will share her personal story to ask all of you to support her in finding her daughter, Elisa. If you had to learn about this story, you know that Jessica spends every waking moment to find her daughter. She's an advocate within the autism community and stays committed. She continues her support for other families who raise children with autism to protect them from the same predatory situation she has experienced with her daughter. I would like to welcome Jessica Nunez.
Hi, everyone. It's a really difficult topic. Sorry, I'm getting nervous. It's really difficult for me, but it's really important because unfortunately I'm in a really bad situation or difficult situation. As an autistic mother, I would never imagine being in this situation, knowing the way my daughter, was. She had social anxiety, didn't like getting away out to the house. She did receive services, and she did have goals through DDD to have outings. That's her personality. And I never thought that, one morning I will wake up to a letter saying that, that she ran away and that she will be back, and that she swore and she was sorry. Unfortunately, that time has not come yet. It's been more than a year and 5 months, and there has been no trace of my daughter. I want to thank Cricket for giving me this opportunity to be able to share the story of my daughter, because my daughter has Asperger's, and I know it's not a official diagnosis anymore, but she is high functioning, and as we know, most of our autistic children have a really high intellectual in certain things. For my daughter, that was technology. It was computer-wise. For me, I do feel that there should been some things that I could have done better. But for me as a mother, knowing that my daughter had a lot of social anxiety and, just being out there, I used to hear her be really happy and, gaming, talking to people. I honestly did not know it will lead to this. When she had her counselor come every week, we will talk about, the dangers, and she told me she was well aware. But unfortunately, this person groomed her. She was groomed. I am positive by that. It's not a relative or anything of that. It's somebody that told her that she was going to come back. It was 5 days before her birthday, her 15th birthday. So I don't know if that has something to do with her leaving, thinking that she was probably going to go to some kind of event or something promised and her to return. But unfortunately, she hasn't came back yet. And my daughter had a different personality online. She could be whoever she wanted to be. I think her anxiety was different because maybe she didn't see this person. I'm not sure. A lot of times, for example, me in my situation as a parent, I would never imagine her talking to more than 1,000 people and thinking everybody was her friend. That was her. She thought everybody was her friend and she interacted. I did make a mistake where I did not monitor. I just spoke to her about it and I trusted her because knowing her personality and the way she was, who would have thought that she would just leave in the middle of from 2 a.m. to 5 p.m. in the morning? I would never think that because that is out of her personality and out of her comfort zone. And we all know what happens when our children are not in their comfort zone, right? We get these challenges of behaviors and it just didn't seem right. But unfortunately, in my daughter's situation, and I'm sorry, I hope I'm making sense. I do apologize. But in my daughter's situation, it happened, and that's the reason why I'm here. I spoke with the private organization that's on my daughter's case, and I asked them, I need to share what are the apps that you are mostly linking with these missing children? What is going on? There is a couple of days, I think 4 days ago, this organization is also working with a 21-year-old autistic girl that is currently missing as well too. And it's a coincidence that she's also missing a week before her birthday. I'm not saying it's linked with my daughter. I'm just giving an example that unfortunately it's happening more and more often than it should. So this girl as well, was met with somebody online according to what they have as evidence. The problem with that is you think, well, why don't they just trace it? Why don't they just find out? Unfortunately, some of these apps, you can't do that. You can't trace them. The only way that you will have information is through the actual device. And unfortunately, my daughter was communicating with these persons through those apps. She took her MacBook and she took her iPhone. So she took the evidence and she left the chargers. Okay, I'm not sure why, but she left the chargers. So I just want to touch base a little bit about these apps as Cricket had put on the screen. These are apps that I believe that you should be monitoring heavily or not even have your kids have it. I know it's a little bit difficult, especially being TikTok, how popular it is right now. But me alone, I had to go to all these social media platforms to be able to share awareness of my daughter. And it's really disgusting the things that I see or receive from these apps. Me as an adult, if I get this, I can't imagine with our children, especially if you go through hormones or whatnot, and they say you're your friend, they promise you something. Our children are vulnerable. My daughter is vulnerable. She never was exposed to all this stuff. And I'm pretty sure whoever lured her, took advantage of that. And for example, there's a couple of apps that are currently alerted. I'm going to go briefly on them because it's a couple and I don't want to take too much of your time. But for example, the Kick, I didn't even know that app existed. It's a direct messaging app that allows anyone to contact your child. It is designed to be able to operate even if the service of the phone is off. If Wi-Fi service is available, Kick is dangerous as it gives anyone unlimited access to your child anywhere at any time. So they could locate your child. If they have that app, they'll be able to locate to see where they are. Dating apps. There's a couple of dating apps where they allow, unfortunately, there is kids that we don't know that are in the teenage years, they access these apps and like Meet Me, Scout, you could be whoever you want. You could be over age. And these predators, they take advantage a lot of these teenagers that are in these apps. You'll be surprised about parents not knowing that the kids have dating apps on their phone. And TikTok as well. TikTok is known to be popular with younger children and is often used as a platform for predators to contact children. I alone get messages of people trying to groom me as an adult. And actually, sometimes it has happened where I believe they're my friend, they're trying to help me, and there they go trying to get money off me. So me as an adult, I've experienced that. Imagine our children, getting these messages, I want to be your friend. Oh, and it all starts with send me a picture. Send me a picture of yourself. And here they are sending a picture, or even doing like a little girl doing a normal TikTok dance. A lot of these predators get off with stuff like that. And it's really disturbing because I've seen it. I'm not saying my daughter is there, but I've even looked in the black web, which I had no idea. And it's really disturbing that all this exists and nobody's doing nothing about it. I just don't understand that. Whisper, it's an anonymous social networking app that encourages the sharing of secrets. It keeps identities anonymous, but shares users' locations where people can meet up. There is an app like that. Supposedly you'll share a secret. I kissed this girl, or I kissed this, or whatever. And that's how it starts. And they offer to meet up with you to keep a secret. Those are just a few. The two ones that I really want to touch base, it's WhatsApp and Line. Those are the two apps that I mentioned that the only way you could actually track the conversation and who you're talking to is if you have the actual device. If I've been WhatsApping with somebody for the past year, and let's say I take the phone with me and they want to know who I was conversating with, there's no way that you could get that. Not even the government can get that. And for me, it was really hard to believe that there's apps that are not regulated and they have authority to do that. But it does exist. And I don't think a lot of people know this because I didn't. For me, I just thought my girl, she was happy gaming. And what harm will that do? I mean, she's working on her socialization, right? She's happy. How can I take that away from her? How can I take away the gaming if that's what makes her happy? That's what I thought. I thought that there was no harm, and I was wrong. So that's why I'm here to share your story, to let you know that a lot of times we don't know what exists back there, out there, and we don't know what intentions they have for a child. And I don't want no mother to go through this because it's a really, really difficult situation. I asked myself, whoever took her, are they buying her McDonald's, French fries, well done, no salt every day? Are they even, thinking about her sensory? Her sensory, like, my daughter never had a boyfriend, she was pure. I can't even imagine whoever took her, what they did. It's like a nightmare. It's a nightmare because since my daughter was small, I was able to get these services from DDD, and I had to fight for my daughter since she was small to get what her treatments and be able to have her try to live like a normal life, her challenges. So I've seen her learning how to, but in her fine motor skills in a really preteen years knowing how to tie her shoe when usually they do that when they're young. I was there when I took her to feeding therapy. And all this comes to my mind, and I ask myself, whoever has her, what are they doing? Are they taking any of this stuff in consideration? It's really hard. And I wouldn't wish anyone to be in a situation I am. So that's why I'm here to share my story, to let you know that there is people out there who take advantage over kids' vulnerability, and to please monitor their social media. I know there is challenges and there's meltdowns, when you take certain things away from him, and it could be hard, but I'd rather you guys go through that than go through what I'm going through. So I'm not sure if you've seen, there's a silver alert. That's something that I did have to go through as well to have on my daughter. It was a challenge for me, for law enforcement, because I do believe there has to be a special alert for autistic kids. And I hope that changes, but that is one of my goals. And I've been, trying to have changes. And I'm grateful Cricket is doing these classes, because, in my situation, I was able to get a silver alert for my daughter. It couldn't be an amber alert because, she was not kidnapped. She left on her own will. But I did have challenges. I had to prove through her records of, even though she's a really smart girl, I had to prove her challenges. I had to show them what she's going to therapy for, and it was difficult, but I was able to get that silver alert. She was actually the first child in Arizona, to get that silver alert. And maybe that will make it easier I'm not hoping this happens to somebody else, but that will make it easier for another autistic child who goes missing and be able to have that alert. So, this is my daughter. I did bring a flyer. I'm not sure how clear the picture will be, but I've been putting billboards up. I've been doing whatever I can to share awareness, even though it's been more than a year. And, it's something that I cannot stop until I get answers of where she's at. So thank you for listening to my story. And if you have social media, I do please ask for you to please share her image. It just takes one person that knows something or seen something to be able to bring her back home. And I am hopeful. I am a child, I am a believer. So I do pray every night that my God will listen to my prayers, and have faith that she will be home safe and sound and reunited. And all this nightmare will already end for me.